Okay, it should be recording now, so took a little bit, but we should be good.
All right, perfect.
All right.
We'll begin. Well, thank you, Andrew, for spending the time to get with me here and have a little talk.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a great day so far, so I hope you're enjoying yours as well.
I am. I had a good St. Patty's Day. I hope you did as well. I don't know if you filled out a bracket or not, but mine is already busted. So
Yeah,
we'll
for
see
sure.
how that finishes out. Gotta
Yeah,
love March Madness.
there you go.
So I'm talking with you today to discuss the class communication and interview. Just want to get your thoughts on how the class is going as a whole and what you feel how you have been doing in the class as well. So we'll just begin. I got a few questions for you, beginning with just trying to get a background of who you are and what your major is. So you just want to go ahead and tell me what your major is.
Yeah, so my major here at SDSU is broadcast journalism. I started doing that sophomore year after I switched from exercise science, and so far it's been a good. I like the major. A lot of interesting topics we get to go through. A lot of big assignments that we get to do with working with newscasts and behind the scenes, that kind of thing. So it's always interesting.
So being in the broadcasting, you've had some experience with interviewing. Do you just want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So with broadcast journalism, we do a lot of news stories. So those require a lot of them will require interviews, and with those usually pretty straightforward questions. I'm trying to make them as less yes no answers as possible because you're trying to get as much detail as possible from each answer so your question is fully answered from it to its ability. I think that also sometimes when interviewing, they sometimes some of the questions might feel like they're kind of makes them feel a little bit uncomfortable just because of some of the way it's formatted or said. So, but otherwise, yeah, other interviewing clients has helped me a lot. It just gives me more comfortability with the interview, so it doesn't feel awkward when asking questions.
Perfect. What about your future plans? Where do you see yourself here in the next couple of years once you get out of school? Where would you see yourself?
So future plans right now, I think the future is just working and probably Sioux Falls or Brookings. Got an internship lined up at KSFY for the summer, so that will be a little stepping stone in the future. Then after that, hopefully I am accepted as a full-time employee there at the end of the summer. I know that they said that they had some openings and at the end of the summer due to some contracts being up, so I think that'll be a good opportunity there. I think anywhere between news or radio is probably my field of interest, and that's where I plan on pursuing. So.
Awesome, awesome. So now I want to transition into the actual communication interviewing class, and I just want to get your thoughts on what are some of the things that are going good in this class so far.
I think what's going well in this class is I think that we are getting a lot of real life situations that a lot of people didn't really realize that they had with interviewing. She's shown some clips from The Office that have really kind of opened up your mind on what's considered a good interview, what's considered a bad interview, and the fact that it might be a little goofy at times, but it really does make you think about certain situations. I think also what's gone well is just the examples that she gives out. So if there's like a news interview, she gives good examples on those, gives a good example on like surveys and polls and how we can work with those and to make the best poll or survey you can get without having the participants feel awkward in any situation. So, which is I think really nice.
How about some of the bad things so far?
I guess the only real bad thing was that test, but I mean, otherwise, I think that couple things that could go a little bit better is I think that maybe having a little bit more class activities. I know the examples help too, but sometimes as me as a person, I work a little bit better with working on hands-on a little bit too and visual. So seeing an actual interview up front does give me a little bit more confidence than just trying to go copy something off a TV screen or a computer screen and just work from there. She has done it a couple times in class. I kind of wish she did it a little bit more, but um, otherwise, I think yeah, just the fact that we just don't have any class activities really that we do. It seems just like a lot of lecturing, but there's a lot of material in that lecture, so I think that's the only thing that I would say would be a downside is that we don't have more hands-on activities in this class than we should have.
So you feel that you would improve better within the class if you had more of a hands-on activity stuff in the class.
Yeah, I think I'd benefit a lot more. Kind of like with interviewing for Jack's News, you kind of got that repetition, kind of hands-on thing. We worked on that a little bit, so it's almost the same kind of scenario that we had then.
How do you feel the class is as an environment? Do you feel it as a positive, negative, in between? How do you feel the class as a whole, including the instructor and your classmates? How do you feel how that's working out there?
I think that as a class, we seem like we get along like pretty well. It seems like everyone has some good friends in there, and I had some old high school classmates that were in the class too. So we kind of have that fam, uh, I can't say the word.
I got you.
Okay, you know what I mean. But yeah, so we kind of had that similarity there. And like I said, we have a couple people from our major too, so it makes the class a little bit more comfortable and energetic. I really like that. When it comes to lecture, a lot of people are willing to answer questions, and we get to hear a lot of people's different voices almost every day. The teacher does a good job. I think he's done a really good job with the interaction of us and the fact that we get along with basically everyone in the class. And I don't think I haven't heard anyone's voice in that class, if that kind of makes sense. So everyone has participated in, I think, some way, shape, or form throughout the year, and I think that it's really helped helped me too, just getting comfortable with your peers and figuring out like when it comes to interviewing that you have to have some type of connection there before you actually start.
Now does everyone participating in class, does that make for an easier learning environment for yourself?
I think it does. It makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with the material, and also makes me feel more comfortable with the instructor too. So I think that just having everyone feel like almost like it's a home in kind of way kind of helps. You don't want to go to a environment where it's kind of just sit there and then they just talk and nothing really happens. It gets kind of dull and boring, and you don't really learn a whole lot. You end up kind of daydreaming, or even like going on your phone or falling asleep, and that's really the last thing that the instructor wants to do in a class, is trying to make it dull and boring. I think our teacher has a really good voice for teaching too, so that does make it a little bit better and easier that we don't just sit there and listen to a monotone voice for 75 minutes.
Gotcha. Now, talking a little bit about yourself, what are some of the things that you think you could improve on, or that have been struggling so far during this class?
I think the one thing that I could say that would be something I'd like to work on is just wording my questions a little bit different, because a lot of the times with my questions, they seem either a little bit too wordy or the question seems unclear. So just the fact of either making it two questions or just even clearing it up into one question would help a lot. I think that you're gonna get a better answer out of the question. Even if it's two, you still could get two good answers out of that. You don't want to try and be too cute with questions and just try and fit them into one, and then it could end up not giving you the right answer. They might just say, well, I don't know, or yes or no kind of scenarios. So, that's the last thing I kind of want to have happen. But otherwise, I think with that, there's not really a whole lot else. I think I do a pretty good job of connecting with my interviewees and, getting to know them a little bit more beforehand. So, like I say, you're not just going in there and just, talking to a stranger. You kind of have an idea of who you're going to be talking to, and someone that you can get familiar with afterwards too. So
do you think that's kind of a key in interviewing as you go forward, learning to connect with the interviewee? Do you find that very beneficial?
I think yeah, I do, because like I said earlier, it's just getting that relationship, and if they're going to feel comfortable with you, or you feel comfortable with them, they're going to feel comfortable with you. So they're going to give you the most honest question as they can give you, and probably try and get you the most information too. I think that if I just went in an interview, just say like LeBron James, and I barely knew the guy, and I just asked him these random questions, I probably won't get the most straightforward answers that he'd give. They'd probably be pretty blunt, pretty brief. But if I had worked with the Cleveland organization, for a while and developed a relationship with him, I'd probably get a little bit more detailed answer than I would have gotten just going up to him, just saying, "Hey, can I have an interview with you?"
Uh, what were some of the things that you felt you were doing good at in the class that you can keep doing going forward?
I think the things I've done well in the class is, just connecting with a lot of classmates. We do have a group chat on Snapchat for the class, so if we do have any questions, we just say something on there saying like, "Hey, have you guys done the homework yet?" And a lot of it is from the P2Ps. A lot of the times, a lot of people end up having questions about it, and it's nice because a lot of the times we have the answers, or um, a lot of the times we have the answers or they have the answers, so it's not like we're kind of just letting people hang out to dry. Excuse me. But I think that just connecting with the classmates and just having fun, and not trying to be that one guy that just kind of sits there and really doesn't say a whole lot, kind of helps. I think a lot too. So I think honestly, kind of ironically, communicating has been probably the best I've gotten out of this class in communication and interviewing. So.
What were your thoughts on the P2Ps and the homework? Do you think it's too much, too little, or just about right?
When we had the first one, that one took a little bit longer. I think it was like almost 7, 8 questions, and it was a little bit of a struggle. And I'm like, I really hope this doesn't have the same amount going into the next few, next into the semester. Plus, I didn't have the book either, so that didn't really help a whole lot either. But I think after that, it's gotten a lot easier. The book I think is a pretty easy to read book, so the questions are pretty straightforward, and they do seem like that it makes a lot of sense. The questions are well worded, so it's not like you have an issue with that. But yeah, and even when the ones that she put on D2L, it's pretty straightforward. You just gotta read. If you don't read, you're not gonna get it done. So, but yeah, the reading's fine, and a lot of it's examples too, so it's not cut and dry, just word for word vocabulary kind of thing. It's pretty mixed up, and the guy that had the book too highlighted a lot of stuff, so that kind of helped me as well, going through that and just kind of pointing out the key points and not having just to read the whole entire section. And some of the things they wrote down, a lot of it's in the P2P, so kind of that helps too.
Gotcha. So you kind of talked about the way the class goes with the lectures and the office videos and whatnot, but I would like your thoughts overall on the structure of the class, what you like and what you don't like. Again, I know you did talk about the lecturing and the office videos, but what are some of the other thoughts you have on the structure of the class?
I think the structure of the class, you mean like how it's prepared every day kind of thing, right?
Yeah, every day, every time you go into the class, how do you feel? Do you like the way things are done in the manner that it is, or is there something else that could change?
I mean, like, yeah, I think I know. Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. I think I kind of walk into class every day just kind of thinking, kind of same old kind of thing. We're gonna turn in our P2Ps. We might have some people doing those job summaries, and we'll get right into class, and she'll just go on. We'll do a couple online searches on certain activities, or we'll watch a clip from YouTube and figure out what these interviews go for. And I kind of like the idea of kind of watching videos, but at the same time can get a little boring. But some days she does switch it up a little bit. I know, like, it was one of the first days where we kind of all sat in a circle, and then we kind of introduced ourselves and we talked about interviewing and where we got our benefits from. I kind of wish we had that same idea, but I don't know if we can do it now because it's so late in the semester and people kind of know everybody now and don't really want to just reintroduce again. But I think the structure of the class is going well. I kind of wish that the things in class would get changed up a little bit. I say that for a lot of classes too, because it just you don't want to be in every class and do the same thing over and over again every Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But otherwise, yeah, I think that it's the structure's fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, my grade's good, so that does help. So I think, yeah, I'm learning to the best of my ability.
How do you feel about the length of class? Would you think it would be better for you if it was 15-minute class, or is the class twice a day at hour and 15 minutes fine?
Um, I mean, I think that having the class be an hour and 15, it can get a little much. I know there's some days where things just kind of get dragged out a little bit longer and longer, and I me personally, I think 50-minute classes would be better, but I'm not completely like disagreeing with the 75-minute classes because if you have right enough material for it, then you're gonna be fine. And you're not gonna lose people. But some days I do feel like I get lost in the mix just on certain things, and it kind of makes me doze off, go on my phone, go on my computer, things of that nature. But I think it's hard to try and fit a lot of stuff into a minute 75 because college people's attention spans can be pretty small. So it's not like we can just sit at a desk and just study for an hour and 15 minutes. You just got to learn how to switch things up and just kind of figure out what we can do to keep these guys more engaged. But a 15-minute class, I think, would be the way that the material has been shown and kind of taught, I think would be better. But if it's going to be 75 minutes, just kind of just switch things up a little bit.
All right. What are some of the things you need to do to have to gain the full understanding of the class going forward? Again, yeah, just what do you need to do to fully reach what the instructor is trying to teach?
I think just working on the P2Ps honestly to get a little bit more almost caught up before class, working on what the book is trying to teach us because it is our homework, so we're trying to do that before class, and then we usually go over what the P2Ps are after class. Just kind of getting the ball rolling ahead of time before classes started to get more knowledge on what's going on. I think also with that being said, just trying to, even if the stuff is cut and dry and seems like it's kind of laid out, you just try and try to pay attention as much as possible. Try not to, talk to other people or go on your phone. Just because she is teaching you valuable stuff in this class. So the more that you can pay attention, the more that you're going to be able to, benefit for this in the long run. I think that is the two things I need to work on.
Okay, finally, what I have for you is what do you think the classmates can do to make this more of a knowledgeable class and to, again, expand your knowledge? What can your classmates do?
Honestly, I don't really think they really need to do a whole lot because of the fact that I feel like the class is already pretty engaged as it is right now. We've got a lot of people, that can, answer questions correctly, and then there's a couple guys and gals that, say a bunch of goofy things, but they're usually right on the things. The examples might be a little bit funny, but you gotta have that in a classroom setting. I think you can't just be cut and dry and just give answers. You gotta have a couple people that kind of goof off, but they're just doing it in intentions of way to learn, to help people learn, and I find it kind of awesome too. Someone says I'm a little bit goofy, but I understand what they're talking about. I'm going to probably understand what they're saying. But I think that, yeah, everyone, like I said, everyone participates in class. Everyone does what they're supposed to do. It seems like a lot of people do the homework, and I don't think there's really anyone really struggling in the class, which helps too. Personally, I don't know anyone that's struggling, but I think people overall seem to have an idea of what's going on in this class. And that's what the goal is to understand what you're learning in the class.
Perfect. Now, before I let you go, do you have any questions for me at all?
I don't think so. Otherwise, yeah, I think we're good.
Alrighty, Andrew. I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your Sunday afternoon to talk with me, and I'll go over everything that we went through, and I'll get back to you sometime soon.
All right, appreciate it.
All righty, thank you, Andrew. Have
Yep.
a good one.
You too.